This is what's happening right now. Most likely, we will not be covering the hostage release scheduled for tonight. There is one final stage of the phase one of the hostage release, the Palestinian prisoner release, and it's happening in a couple of hours. Let's see, it's 8:20 here, so at 11 they say that Hamas is going to hand over the remaining hostages of phase one, which will complete the release of 33 hostages, of whom 8 are believed to not be alive. Definitely 4 weren't, and now we've got 4 additional ones tonight. They're very careful this time to not release the names of the 4 hostages, though I did say look at that picture, because they believe that Sahi Dan is one of them. And I just remember his story, because one of the first videos that I saw that was released by Hamas, or while it was, I assume Hamas, unless it was another organization or from Gaza, but while they were in their house on Nahal Oz, the kibbutz Nahal Oz, they took the mom's phone and live streamed from one of her social media accounts the kidnapping of that family, or not the kidnapping, I guess, like just they held them captive there. I think they kidnapped the father. But what had happened before in their safe room was that a family was hiding in the safe room, and they had locked, tried to hold themselves in, and the terrorists that were there shot at the door and killed the I think 16-year-old daughter. So she was, already dead. And then they got the family out and dragged them out and made them sit there. And I just remember seeing the videos, because the kids were in shock. The father was in shock. And you could see them processing, like even like the little brother processing what happened. I think her name was Yam. What happened to Yam? And he kept, repeating this and trying to figure it out. Oh, it was just, it was horrible. All right. So today I wanted to get online to tell you just a little bit about what happened today, and then what suddenly is going to be happening tonight. What is today? Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's not even any of the original hostage release days, but we are getting to the end of phase one. And once we hit the end of phase one, we don't know what happens next. And one of the things that they were just talking about, this is already not this. Let me get the TV out of the screen. I think I have a glass right there. God forbid I shift this computer and a glass goes flying. Then I'd have to yell at myself, not my kids. Okay. So just, we saw Steve Witkoff, which now is a very famous, like a household name here in Israel. I don't know. If you're in America, tell me, have you heard of Steve Witkoff? Because if you live in Israel, he's like a household name here. He's like right up there. Like there's Donald Trump, and then there's Steve Witkoff. And he has become like the guy. Like everybody's saying, like, why is he not here now? He was supposed to be here. And then he said, I got tied up. Things got busy in America. And people are like, no, get over here, because you're apparently, seriously, I even heard from the people today. I have to tell you the bizarre day that I had. Bizarre. Oh my gosh. That I'm sitting there with the people who, the cat's going to have a concussion. I was sitting with the people today who started the Hostage Family Forum, which is what happened in Israel. Right, after the kidnappings, there was this grassroots effort to form, to be together, to like, what are we going to do? How are we going to help each other? How are we going to get the hostages out? And the government was still like fumbling along, but, citizens got it together and started doing it. Anyway, they said themselves, sorry, the cat's really lost it. They said themselves, actually, it's all to do with Trump having, this release would not have happened without him. And too bad he wasn't in before. So yes, Daniel, the cat is going crazy. It's all right. Close the door. I mean, I can't even talk about Steve Witkoff without getting interrupted by cats. Like, this is so funny. Okay, so they're crediting Trump with moving this along, and the fact that Witkoff isn't here now to start negotiating phase 2 is like a really big deal. So let me just give you a perspective today. And it's so ironic that today was the burial of the Bibas family. Now, mind you, I'm giving you the Israeli perspective. I'm, sitting here in Jerusalem surrounded by more of the Israeli news and stuff like that. So this is I'm telling you what's happening here, what happened on the ground here today with Israelis and just the Israeli public, because there was this sense these hopes pinned on the Bibas family. The Bibas family. They're the mom Shiri and the two boys. They were redheads, so it was like just that. The color orange was very symbolic. But there was this hope that if somehow the Bibas family was still alive and came back and came out of captivity, that somehow that would make things better, that they would be able to deal with October 7th a little better, that there would be some hope left in the world. But instead, Hamas handed over their bodies last Thursday, not quite all last Thursday, not straightforward like that, because it was 3 bodies, plus also Oded Lifshitz, the body of Oded Lifshitz, who was an 80-something-year-old man, separately, not same family, but I think they're from the same kibbutz. Anyway, those 3 bodies, though, yes, they identified Ariel, the 5-year-old, Kfir, the now 1-something-year-old, and then a third woman, remains of a woman, unidentified, not Israeli hostage. And it turns out, maybe a Palestinian woman. Hamas said, oh, yeah, well, the remains were mixed. We couldn't figure out who was who. Okay. And then in the quiet of night, a body was returned to Israel. And then that was Shiri Bibas. So they were buried today. But the procession was 50 miles long from somewhere in central Israel all the way down to near the kibbutz. And there were thousands of people lining the road where the car, the route was published. It was publicized so that people would know where to go. And people were holding signs saying, I'm sorry, we couldn't save you. Sorry, we abandoned you. And also many people changed the Israeli flag from blue and white to orange and white. I think also the Knesset and Ben Gurion Airport were lit up in orange. And then when, the funeral was not open to the public, but it was live streamed, and people were watching it in Hostage Square. And excuse me, I think somebody is at the door. Hold on. Oh, hi, welcome.
You're doing a live.
I'm doing a live. How'd you know?
I heard you from outside.
Oh, okay. So yes. So Raya's back home. And okay, hi, I'm Lisa. Are you Lisa? I don't know. I see your handle, but I don't know your name. But I want to say hi. And to Marilyn, hello. Thank you guys for joining. Okay, so anyway, so there was this. It was like a day, an unofficial day of national mourning, but lots of people out holding signs and just accompanying the family to their final resting place. They were also buried in the same coffin, the 3, and it was symbolic of the last images that we had of Shiri and her boys were the mom holding them as they were getting abducted. So they decided to bury them together. The it reminded me of another funeral procession for hostage, which was of Hirsch Goldberg Polin, who was an American Israeli, and I'm sure you've heard of his parents, John and Rachel. They've just been spokesmen, like they've been all over the world on all sorts of media. Really in such an eloquent and elegant way, discussing the issues and balancing all of the conflicting opinions about war and coexistence and hostage release and everything, just like with such wisdom and grace that it's like it just blows your mind. But because the family is from this very neighborhood that I live in, and so we have a lot of mutual friends and acquaintances. And I went out to see when they had the funeral procession, and it was similar in terms of just the outpouring, because these are some of the people of the hostages. Not all are known, but of course I think Hirsch, because of his American background as well, and also the Beavises because of their age, because they should have been released in November, but they in the first November 2023, when there were previous rounds of releases, but they weren't. So it brought so many questions to the surface as to, well, what was their fate? Now, excuse me as I clean my house on live broadcast. And it gets cold here, so you need the radiators to dry the clothes. Okay, so anyway, so today was similar just in terms of this outpouring of support and recognition of the issue. Trying to see if there was something else from this. Oh no, why? I have more. Wow. Okay. All right. So now what you may not know. Oh, hello, Carol Schiavi. I bet that's a question from John. Okay. But I'll answer that in a second. Let me just go back before. Okay. So I said about Shiri Bibas that it was not her body, but I also wanted to mention when it was finally confirmed that also Shiri's parents were killed on October 7th. So a lot of people have recognized that this was 3 generations that that were wiped out on that side of the family. Oh, did I say that the father also at the funeral today that he wore an orange kippah during the ceremony, I guess, in recognition of his symbolic of his family. Let's see. I wanted to say there was a few other things. Okay. So then now Israel did not last week, after this whole incident with the unidentified body that was not Shiri, Israel delayed the release of the Palestinian prisoners that they were supposed to go, I think, on Saturday, and they actually had them wait for a long time. I actually, it feels like a month ago, and I don't remember the exact issue, but then they sent them back to their cells. They're like, you're not going. Like, families that had been ready to receive them back were just, they were out until 11 o'clock at night, until finally they were like, no, they're not coming home. And, Israel said, no, Hamas violated the terms of the ceasefire, so we're not going to release them. And so that went back and forth. And then suddenly today, and I was not glued to the news today, admittedly, but suddenly I started seeing these messages around, even I think it was 4 or 5 this evening, that the final stage of the release is going to take place tonight. There's going to be no ceremony, as there usually is some sort of Hamas ceremony as they release the hostages and or coffins. And really, actually, especially the last one, there were quotes from Arab leaders from around the world, the UAE and uh, the Grand Mufti of the UAE said that Hamas has brought shame to Islam on a level never seen before. And the Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia said, "What we saw today in Gaza is a disgrace to Islam, an act of blasphemy against Allah, and a sin that does not represent the followers of the Prophet." And they were referring to the the raucous ceremony that surrounded the return of the slain hostages. Um, they put the coffins on stage. They had music. People were cheering. Of course, there was a crowd. There's always a crowd. I'm sure they're also brought in for the event. There's always new posters in the background. Don't remember, was it the poster? It's the one with the silhouette of Sinwar, the former leader of Hamas who was killed in this war. With his two legs are like tree trunks, like rooted into the ground. And, of course, an obvious message to Witkoff and to Trump that there, will be no migration except to, if anything, Jerusalem. Like, we are rooted in the ground. We're not going to Egypt. We're not going to Jordan. This is where we are. And so the ceremony, though, really, I mean, all the ceremonies have been a little over the top, to say the least, a little bit bombastic. Is bombastic. Look it up. Israelis put in fake army uniforms. Like there were some that were kidnapped as soldiers and some that weren't, but even so, they were released as soldiers and wearing like this fake, like a fake IDF uniform, and they're given certificates of release. They're given goodie bags. One was given an hourglass to give to the mother of a hostage. She's a very outspoken, anti-government, like she's leading the protests, and she is very anti-government. She's been banned from the Knesset or not allowed in several times. And so they sent this to her, probably in the hopes of also just her railing against the government and continuing the protests, like, to get my son out, get the hostages out. And another one, they sent one of the men home with earrings for his wife. So in any case, so that was after the last release, there were 6 hostages released. One of them, did I do a live that day, guys? I don't even remember. On Saturday, maybe not, because it was like over the whole day. They released 2 hostages who have been held for over 10 years. And one of them is Ethiopian Jewish, Israeli, and he was like, I think 27 or 29. And I think he's, it's 39 now or 37, but I think it's 39. Sorry, I don't remember the number. And the other one I think is a little bit younger, don't remember. And he's Bedouin, Muslim, but they released him separately. Oh, but I know I didn't tell you guys this because the father said something. I wish I had the quote on hand. And he said, what they sent back to me is like, is a broken person. Like, I think both of them were believed to already have like mental health issues. When they went into Gaza, they kind of like stumbled their way in, but then they were captured and held there, and just like are somehow part of this, getting to be a part of this release of the hostages from October 7th. So, anyway, a lot of heavy stories. Right now, what's happening is the army is releasing reports, on what happened on October 7th, and they're releasing these individually to each of the communities. Like yesterday was Nachal Oz, today is Kfar Aza, and they're not really, though. They're saying like what they did, like here's what happened and here's the timeline, but it's still the questions of why aren't being answered, and it's still not answering the questions of a very wider investigation of the government in general, policies, and also the military failure, and police, like what happened. I mean, anyway. there's a lot more questions that need to be answered. I mean, you can see like, anyway, I'm not going to leave it on the TV. I've learned my lesson. Okay, so now let me get to some questions that maybe I can or can answer. Okay. In phase 2, Israel is supposed to withdraw all troops from Gaza. What are the chances of that happening? I have no idea. Israel has withdrawn from the Netzarim corridor, which is a big deal. They've withdrawn their troops from most, if not all, of Gaza. The real question about phase 2 is the fate of Hamas. Hamas wants to continue to rule, but most countries in the world do not want Hamas to continue rule. So even I think even Egypt said that. They said it's just not even reasonable to allow Hamas to continue. So while I think it also calls for a complete end to the war, not just a ceasefire, but we don't know where this is at. And I was saying, like, once this ends, it's like we're in another vacuum. Another thing that will possibly affect the timing of phase 2 is that Ramadan begins this weekend. It goes according to the moon, but I think maybe Sunday night. I'm not sure if it'll be Saturday night or Sunday night. And Ramadan is a month on the Muslim calendar where the Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset, and every night is marked with like an iftar dinner. It's like a big dinner. It's a big celebration, and it's a month for more prayers. Like they come up to Jerusalem to go to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It's also typically a time of tension here in Jerusalem. So we don't know, how that all is going to play out, but how will the Muslim majority in Gaza deal with Ramadan? Now, the question is, how do they deal with it last year? Because it was during the war as well. So that will be interesting. So just as far as is Israel going to withdraw all its troops? I mean, I think the chances of that are, if that's what phase 2 is really calling for, it will happen if they totally agree. Netanyahu is calling for a release of all the hostages at once, as opposed to this little trickle that we had of 3 hostages here, another 2 there, 6 here, 4 here, and the remaining hostages, there are, after tonight, if these 4 slain hostages are released, there will be 59 left, of which I think 35 are considered already dead. And that's Israel's numbers, which I would say, like, if Israel has numbers having not gotten in, that's like, I guess at a minimum is 35 dead, is maybe. So anyway, so that's what we're looking at. The hostages who remain are mostly young men, some older men, but some fathers, but a lot of like soldiers, and including the last remaining American citizen who they think he's alive, Idan Alexander. So I think I don't know if among the dead, if there are Americans whose bodies haven't been recovered, but it's possible. So we're getting to a little bit of an impasse right now with dealing with the releases after tonight. And okay, Emily, hi Emily. Where were the 2 hostages held for the past 10 years? Well, that's anybody's guess. There has been very little information. I think one of the families didn't even get a sign of life for 10 years. It's just really lack of clarity on even why Hamas would hold to people who have mental health issues, possibly, or health issues, and how they even survived when many hostages who were kidnapped healthy haven't survived. Like, how did they survive the Israeli bombings. How did they survive? Lack of food or water or anything. And also having had already health issues. I have no idea. So I am looking to interview, and she didn't answer me, an Ethiopian lawyer here who works with the community, and see what she knows, and also how the Ethiopian community is taking the whole issue of why his release took 10 years. And even though a half a year and a half, 16 to 17 months is a long time, but 10 years is a lot worse. Like they were saying, oh, something like 3,000 days, like here in, they're counting the days and they're saying 500 and whatever. But if this guy was counting the days, it was something like 3,000. You do the math, because I'm not good at it. So, okay, another great question. What's happening up north? Well, Raya, can you do me a favor? Can you give me some more water, please? Please. Okay, so that's a great question, because first of all, Hassan Nasrallah, the former and late leader of Hezbollah, has finally had his funeral. That happened on Sunday in Lebanon, in Beirut, and it is so well after the please, I'm about to choke again, Raya. Well after his assassination, which I think was in September. Could Raya's going to take over. I'll get water while you take over.
Hi, Mimi Ganga.
All right, go ahead. Are you going to take over? All right, but please tell them about Nasrallah's funeral.
Huh?
Yeah.
So I just came back from gymnastics and I don't know anything. There's the cat. I don't know what to say. ASMR. Thank you, Zia Emily. Oh, Mom.
Read up next time if we're going to do a live. Get your information.
Bye. Hi, Mimi.
And hi, Jeanette. Yeah, today I think one of the things, Jeanette was commenting that that she, to see the way the people, the Israelis pulled together, like to support the Bibas family. Yes, they even Yarden Bibas said in his eulogy, he said, "You wouldn't believe how everybody is supporting us, and how everybody just loves you and loves this family." And he was so touched. And he said, "We're not going to be alone." He said, "People tell me you're not going to be alone." And he said, "But as long as I don't have you, but it's you that I want with me." Anyway, it was just really unbelievable. Raya, everybody's saying hi. Ohan saying hi.
I'm famous.
You're famous, yeah.
Ever since I left you at 12.
I know my number of live viewers has gone up since Raya joined the broadcast. I'm telling you. Okay, so Nasrallah funeral finally. Why did it take so long? Why did it take months until? Because the fact that this is, somebody said something funny. It's the first time that anybody that we know where he's sleeping at night, because he used to he was constantly hiding. He lived in bunkers. He lived underground because he knew that Israel would take him out at the first chance that they had to do so. So he was killed in a targeted bombing in the Dahia in Beirut, the neighborhood where it's largely Hezbollah. He was killed there in a bomb that hit a building. They knew he was there. Israel said almost immediately that they knew he was there. And but the funeral took forever because, of course, a funeral draws out more people, and that they're all sitting ducks. But now, because the ceasefire with Lebanon has gone on since around Thanksgiving time, so it was late November, that's pretty solid. And so there's pretty much there's no activity from Hezbollah against Israel. At the moment, there are still Israeli troops, and they're still like in southern Lebanon, and so there's still little skirmishes, and there's still attacks every so often on Hezbollah targets. Like Israel still is attacking a little bit, like, you know, in the Bekaa Valley, and even in parts of Syria. By the way, I got to get up to speed on Syria because there's like so much stuff happening with that right now. So as far as people moving back, Israelis, I think most Israeli communities are able to move back to the north, but they are, infrastructure is not fully set up. So that's still ongoing. So finally, it went on the funeral. Oh, during the funerals, the other thing I want to tell you, I wish I had videos. I have no videos ready, but that the Israeli Air Force did flyovers during the funeral, which was held in a stadium in Beirut. And it was like a message. I mean, there were like 3 fighter jets going over the stadium. And anyway, there you go. All right, let me see what this. Oh, hon, I can't click on the message. So if you could send it to me. Oh, maybe it's on Facebook and I'll see it. I can't click on it from here. So I can't click on this article that you're sending. All right. So I believe that brings me to the end of my day, and everything I was going to tell you initially. Oh my God, no, one more thing. Stick with me, because speaking of Trump and Witkoff, I have to find this video. Where am I going to find it? If you haven't seen it already, I got to find the video. Oh, I don't want to use one of these. Oh my gosh. How am I going to show you guys this? Let me see if I can share. No, I can't. Okay, so I'm going to show you just a little bit of this, but you probably have seen it. I know, just put it back. Raya needs attention, clearly. You guys have to, you've seen this. Most likely you've seen this, but I'm going to show it to you from here. Let me see.
Is how you use it?
Yeah, probably. Oh, I could show it to you from Twitter. Awesome. Okay. Hold on. It's going to be worth it when I finally find this. I don't know. If you have questions in the meantime, let me know. So the funny thing is, Trump puts this out on social media. And no, I think without any comment, like it literally just went up, like as, oh, come on.
And I have no energy.
It's all right.
My hair like an idiot.
Yep. It's all right. Okay. All right. I got it, guys. I got it. So now you're going to get to see it. Yes, the most bizarre. Emily just said it was so weird. Yes. Okay, so here's what is going viral in Israel. All right. Trump. Remember Trump's Gaza plan?
Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here.
Really?
Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, number one. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, number one.
With 25 or yes, okay.
Tunnel is coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally
the
here.
Mediterranean.
Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza number one. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Comments on that, guys? What I don't know. I'm a little bit baffled as to what to think. I mean, it's like, is it a joke? Like, did somebody put that out as a joke? I mean, I like somebody ran it through AI, but then you just put it out without commenting or like laughing at it or making fun of it. Like, I mean, that's something I expect to see on Saturday Night Live. I don't know. Anyway, so that was going around here as well today. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much done with the news for the day. And stay tuned because we've got to figure out what phase 2 is. Like I said, that's going to be, and Witkoff's, I think, said it himself. I think it was Witkoff that said it, or somebody else from the State Department who said that the reason that this was done in phases is because there are so many challenges that we'll take the easier challenges in phase 1 and we'll leave the tougher ones for phase 2. So phase 2 may lose momentum because of Ramadan. Phase 2 meaning who's going to control Gaza? Will the rest of the hostages get out? And how many more Palestinian prisoners will be released? And will the Israeli troops fully withdraw and agree to like an end of war, not just a ceasefire, but an end of war. So anyway, so that's where we're going to be at as of tomorrow, after there are 4 bodies to be released tonight. All right. So anyway, that's all. Thank you for joining. Now I guess it's a little bit on a delay, and Emily's saying like creepy, and Lisa's saying ridiculous. And I totally agree. I mean, creepy and ridiculous, because even if you're for this plan, if you're for it, you can't be for the video. I mean, it's just bizarre. So anyway, all right. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Marilyn. And I'll catch you guys again. All right. Have a good